All right, folks, I think we are ready. And we are live, everyone. Welcome to our first Democratic Caucus of the 2025 session. Yay! Another big round of applause for our staff who got us online because I would have no idea what to do. So a couple quick announcements. We are ready. This is we are live, everyone. Welcome to our first Democratic Caucus of the 2025 session. So exciting. All right, I think we're good. Great. So as a reminder, this is a public caucus. We are streaming live. Everyone is welcome. And the other important thing to know is we will be in this building for a little bit while the construction is still happening over in the State House. As soon as that is done, we will be moving to room 11. So exactly, we'll be back. We'll be back in the room. So we'll keep you posted on that. A couple announcements. We have a press conference on education immediately following this, starting at 12:30. Also, a few announcements about floor times. You've seen this. It's a lot of repetition, but we're going to keep repeating it. So for the foreseeable future, 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, 3 p.m. on Wednesdays and Thursdays, 9:30 on Fridays. Once bills start coming out of committees, we'll spend more time on the floor. We will probably change the Wednesdays and Thursdays to 1 o'clock, but we'll keep you posted. A couple things on decorum. Just a couple reminders. Let's not start packing up our stuff until the speaker gavels us out. Also, when you're doing emails to all House members or really any members, it's great to do the BCC. And if someone forgets to do BCC, please do not reply all. All right. We also have one other thing. On Friday, there will be a photographer. I believe in Legislative Lounge. If anyone needs a bio picture taken, there'll be more coming out on that from the Sergeant of Arms. The governor's budget address is January 28th. And I'm going to share a little fun fact about me before I continue with this next announcement. As a kid, I spent a couple of years in speech therapy, so I have troubles with my R's, especially when they're by O's. So we have the speaker's soiree, which I have to really be careful, so I may say party going forward, but we have the speaker's soiree, February 13th at the Vermont College of Fine Arts. I think you've gotten an email about that today, and hope everyone can attend. It's a great event. All right, last thing before we get to our presenters. In the past, we've allowed time for people to introduce bills here. I just ask that you tell me ahead of time if you want time, because we do try and squeeze a lot into the public caucus, and I know we need to get people to lunch into committees. So just reach out to me. All right, today we're going to talk about budget adjustment, education, Affordable Heat Act, and the Winter GA Shelter Program, maybe not in that order, but we're going to have Robin Chai come up first, Chair of Appropriations.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to brand new members and welcome back returning members. It's great to see all of you. I've heard great things about our caucus so far, so I'm really excited to be working with all of you. I am the chair of the House Appropriations Committee, and the first bill that we get in our committee is called the Budget Adjustment Act. And just to give you a little context for that, last year in the last legislative session, we passed the fiscal year 25 budget. We're in the fiscal year 25 session now, year now. The budget is effective July 1st to June 30th. So we are just about halfway through the FY25 budget year. And like maybe some of us do with our budgets at home, we look at them every once in a while, maybe, and say, spending too much here, not spending enough here. Where do we need to make some tweaks? So that's basically what we're doing with the budget adjustment. We take the bill that we passed last year, and we are taking a look at it and making tweaks around costs and making sure that things stay balanced and we have enough revenue to cover the cost of the things that we said we were going to do. We also sometimes clarify intent if there's been a little bit of confusion in what we said, how we wanted to spend the money. The budget adjustment is generally not a time for brand new programs and new policies. That happens with the next budget year. So And the one other thing I'd like to mention is that Vermont is not required by law or the Constitution to balance its budget. We are one of the few states where that's not law. However, we do balance our budget every year, and we take pride in the fact that we make sure our budget is balanced every year. So that's part of what we're trying to do each time as well. So you can find the budget adjustment documents. They're on the House Appropriations Committee webpage. They're also on the Joint Fiscal Office webpage. You're welcome to take a look at those. I don't have the exact timeline for when this bill is going to be on the floor, but we go through this pretty quickly. And if prior years are any indication, we have this bill for about 3 weeks. This is week 1, which means that the first week of February is when it is likely to come to the floor. I'll probably know more about that at our next caucus, but that's what we're doing now. Committees will hear about this. We are going to at 12:30, we're meeting again to hear about the language and the rest of the changes in the budget adjustment. So I can't answer questions about what's in it yet because we don't really know all of what's in it just yet. But you'll be hearing about it in your committees as things are changing, and there will be more to come. But I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what is happening in that world. Do people have any questions about that? I don't see any. Feel free to ask me or any of the committee members at any time if you do. And again, welcome, and we'll see you all later. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Representative Shai. All right, next we're going to have Representative Wood come up and give us an update on their work so far on the winter GA shelters.
Hi, everyone. Ooh, that's Lori, you're electrifying. What can I say? So Teresa Wood here from Waterbury and Chair of House Human Services, as Lori just said. I just wanted to give folks just a very brief update on under our accountability and oversight responsibilities. Our committee heard testimony last Friday from Commissioner Winters and his staff around the winter provisions, especially under the GA emergency shelter or emergency housing you hear sometimes. We do have some issues with that in terms of how it's being implemented and the use of a policy lever that the department is using that's not necessarily authorized and in the budget, as we just heard Representative Shai speak about the FY25 budget. That's where the language for this program exists. And so we are going to be following up on that. I know many of you have had concerns and have contacted me in the off session about these issues. And so we are tackling them right up front, first week of the session, and there'll be more to come. And you can look forward to another emergency shelter bill from our committee this year.
Any questions for Representative Wood? Great. We look forward to hearing more on that work. All right, next we're going to have Representatives Kornheiser and Conlon come up if they're both here. Great. Give us an update on education work.
Hi, everybody. Peter Conlon, Chair of the House Education Committee. As you all know, we've been in session for 3 days, 2 of which have been mostly pomp and circumstance. So we haven't yet fixed education and education finance. We're getting there. You know, the governor's State of the State speech sort of teed up what we'll probably be talking about a lot going forward. In the meantime, really both of our committees, and I'll let Emily speak to hers, obviously, but we are doing what we would be normally doing when we are at the beginning of a biennium with new members. We are learning as much as possible so that we can have fruitful discussions going forward. Much of that is with the Agency of Education, with our JFO, and with Ledge Council. So in a little bit of a different context, as the governor spoke about big changes that he's going to be proposing. And we have been told by the AOE folks who come to speak to us that, you know, if you sort of follow the themes, you'll get a sense of where he may or may not be headed, or he may be headed. So that's really what we're up to. You know, and meanwhile, we are planning, you know, further discussions and testimony on things outside of that, but we are just getting rolling. We are just started. We've hardly had a chance to get to know one another yet, and we're working on that as well. That's really our status. What I will say is that unlike previous years, we are doing a lot of things together, both House Ways and Means and Education, but also with our counterparts in the Senate. We've got joint hearings, sometimes with 2 committees, sometimes with 3, and sometimes with 4. And we'll actually be over here for a fair bit of that. So that's how we're moving forward and the status of things at the current moment.
Thanks, Peter. I'm Emily Kornheiser. I'm the chair of the Ways and Means Committee, and it's really nice to see you all and be back in this room. Likely you're going to be hearing from me and Peter at every caucus to give updates on the work that we're doing to strengthen our public education system here in Vermont and to make sure we're doing that in a way that maintains our strong communities and families. We are mostly here, as Peter said, to talk about process. And I want to sort of name going into that everyone involved has a really important piece of this work. And we're going to need to do our very best to share our knowledge and our vision in a way that builds a stronger system and a stronger schools for the future for all Vermonters and Vermont children. No matter how each of us is coming to this table, from whatever community we're coming from whatever economic circumstance, from whatever history of our own families, it's really important that we all are showing up together. We're sharing that information with each other, and we're doing it whenever possible in an open and curious and respectful way, so that we really can continue to keep our focus on a strong education for all of our kids. We are going to, we really have an opportunity this year for transformation, right? And that's only going to be possible when we do work together across the aisle and with our community members in the field. Really encourage any of you that are not in regular touch with your school board, with your superintendent, with your business managers, and with the teachers and families in your community to really set a standing meeting with those folks so you have someone to check in with regularly as we continue our work to make sure you understand the impacts of it in your communities. We are going to begin our biennium on Ways and Means, working with our incredible legislative staff, the Commission on the Future of Education, the Department of Taxes, and the Agency of Education to prepare the committee. As Peter said, this is something that we do every biennium, but it will be with a specific focus this year on really getting up to speed on education finance issues first and foremost. Fortunately, most of our tax structure does inform our education finance system, so it will be holistic. That's going to include how we set rates, how schools receive resources and set budgets, the valuation of property, and how our tax credits work. As we complete that preparatory work, we will focus on proposals from the administration, from the field, and from our colleagues, all of which have really significant overlap with the work that the Commission on the Future of Public Education did this year. We are also going to, we have 2 other public education, education for this public that will be open to the public. Things we're launching, one of which is long-standing practice of the Ways and Means Committee to be working with our Joint Fiscal Office and our Legislative Council for regular tax workshops for the first 4 weeks of the biennium on Fridays at lunchtime. We were going to wait on those so that we could do them in room 11. I think probably we're not going to wait on those anymore, and we'll probably do them in the House chamber. But please set aside your Fridays. We will likely start next Friday. But Sorsha, our committee assistant, will likely send out a message through Molly in the Speaker's office to let everyone know. Those are a really fantastic opportunity to get your heads around some of the concepts and content that we will be bringing to you this year. And the second is sort of a newer innovation, which is going to be a series of evening events open to the wider public, but also the full legislature, about some of the more philosophical concepts that we will be focused on this year, that we'll be asking questions about, and then we'll be working with. And it's an opportunity to sort of get less technical, but a little more into sort of the meaning making of some of this work and thinking about how the fundamentals of Vermont and Vermont structure have informed the moment we're in. And so the first one will be a panel on the Brigham decision with a number of attorneys who practice throughout Vermont and have had some experience in education law. And so that will be fun. That's coming up in a few weeks, and we'll keep you posted on that. thank you, everyone. Really excited to work with you all this session.
Great. Thank you both. Any questions? So I lost my, oh, she's right there. Can you say your name and your district?
Doug Bishop, Colchester's Chittenden 20 district. Just really, you mentioned process. I'm just curious of the timing of how things will unfold with respect to the governor's budget address being the 28th. That's 2 weeks out. Will that at all inhibit members of his administration coming before your committees and the discussions that will take place over the next 2 weeks?
Probably a better question for them than for us, but the fact is they're going to be in front of us all this week, part of next week. And, because it's typical testimony, we're allowed to ask them whatever we like. And we hope that we'll be able to get a clearer idea, not only of what's coming down, but also what we need to know in order to understand it. We have raised the concern about the 28th being, the end of the month. And we are hoping that we'll all get more information sooner than that.
Thank you for outlining public components of a public engagement process. I was on a call with some other representatives here yesterday from the Champlain Valley Superintendents Association, and they have a lot of concerns about involvement of people in the field, and they really are unclear about where is the best place to with their limited amount of time, the best place to engage. So they're unclear about whether it should be the commission, whether that should be the legislative process. They're feeling sort of not being heard by AOE at this point in time. There was a public listening sessions, and realizing all of those things are necessary components. They're just having a hard time figuring out where are their voices actually going to be heard.
TBD, because the administration's proposal is largely based around, as you said, the listening and learning tour. So there was a lot of input provided there. Obviously, the legislative process will be one that is public and open. And I assume all of those people you're talking to are members of their respective associations, whether it be the Superintendent Association, Business Managers Association, et cetera. And I suspect that they will be laser focused on a lot of this and providing those opportunities for input.
And I would just add that both me and Peter have been working with the Commission on the future of education this summer in different capacities, and are planning to continue working with the representatives from that commission, as well as the professionals and directors of those associations. And so really hoping to always be pairing experience and knowledge from the field with folks who are tasked with representing the field as we take testimony and continue conversations. So that would be also a great place for them to be going.
Hi. I was also at that meeting. It was a superintendent. Oh, I'm sorry. Sarita Austin from Colchester. I thought everybody knew me, but
People in the general public.
I was also at that meeting with the superintendents. They were all superintendents of the CV, Champlain Valley Superintendents Association. And one of the themes that I heard across was the inconsistency in the data that they're hearing from, just all sides. And just, I think if there's a way to, shore that up or get that clearer with the AOE, because they're kind of losing trust, and that's, I'm sure that's concerning to all of us.
Thank you, Sarita. We'll take one last question.
Candace White from Waitsfield. Thank you for all that. So it sounds like there will be a number of conversations, meetings regarding education reform, which we're all really interested in. What is the best way to track these different meetings, public meetings, et cetera? Like, is that on the Ways and Means website or the Education Committee website?
So any committee meetings that either of us have will be on our committee websites. Any public events that the legislature is hosting or sponsoring are on the bottom right-hand side of the main legislative landing page. So the Sergeant at Arms maintains that section. We are also hoping to have sort of a formal like network system so that every member knows who they can go to on each of our committees in order to stay connected and updated on it. The Appropriations Committee has done that for a long time, but hoping to do it for this particular issue specifically as well. And I think that's, yeah.
Thank you both. Great question. And we will make sure as leadership that we're updating people on, the public meetings that are happening and how you can stay engaged, and never hesitate to reach out to us. Great. Okay. Our last presenter is going to be Representative James on the Affordable Heat Act.
Oh, thanks, everybody. I'm Rep. Kathleen James from Bennington 4 and the new chair of the new House Energy and Digital Infrastructure Committee. And I'm here to talk to you just briefly today about a very obscure bill that I doubt any of us have heard of. It's called the Affordable Heat Act. So Act 18 of 2023, you all will remember, kicked off a very public and robust process that's been led by the Public Utility Commission to design the rules, the regulations for a proposed clean heat standard in Vermont. And the PUC has been taking a lot of testimony and meeting and working very hard on this. And their report to the legislature is due tomorrow. It's due tomorrow. And so we are going to be obviously looking forward to receiving that work from the PUC. The plan basically, and we're not out very far on this plan, but we very intentionally have scheduled a joint hearing with our counterparts in the Senate, and that's up on our agendas. So the material will be released tomorrow. Everybody will have a little bit of time to read it and start taking a first crack at it. And we wanted to schedule our joint hearing as quickly as possible as we could after that to try to make sure that with policy that is this controversial, that's been in the news this much, that's been the topic of so much speculation, that we can try to do a little bit of a level set and get all of our legislators in the same room at the same time with legislative council and with the PUC so that we can all ask our questions, hear the same answers, and try to get a little bit together on, okay, this is where things stand. So that is the plan. We're going to be right there on Thursday at 9 o'clock. We'll be hearing from Legislative Council first. They're going to walk us through Act 18, just to remind us all of what the bill says, what it doesn't say, what the PUC was asked to do, what the PUC was not asked to do. And then we'll hear directly from Chair McNamara of the PUC, and he's going to be presenting the draft rules or the final rules, the final proposed rules, an economic analysis that we had asked the PUC to undertake, and from what I've been reading in the media, perhaps also some recommendations or an alternative, and I don't have any more information on that. So that's the plan, and I wanted to say that our goal with this is really to try to the greatest extent possible, have a thoughtful, fact-based policy conversation about the underlying values that we all share, which is how to build a more resilient Vermont. And that includes not only how we, as a state, respond to weather events and storms and flooding, but how we make all of us as Vermonters more resilient in the way that we heat our homes. So basically, bottom line is that we're hoping to find a way forward with that work this year, starting from that shared place. So,
Questions?
yep, thank you. I always have a hard time wrapping up. This is a real problem for me.
I'm gonna
Yeah. So goodbye.
Thank you, Representative James. I don't see any questions. So we obviously have a lot of big issues ahead of us this session, and it's going to take all of us working together to move forward with solutions. I think the one theme I heard across all the presenters is that we're trying to come together with our colleagues to make sure we're all hearing the same thing at the same time and having discussions about it. And I think that's going to be really, really important. We will keep you abreast of everything, follow everything on committee websites, and never hesitate to reach out to anyone in leadership if you have any questions. So I think with that, we are done, and enjoy the rest of your day. And I hope you'll stay if you have time for the press conference at 12:30. And we can go off live. Thank you, everyone.